Sunday, we're looking at the MLB slate. In this video, we have 8 games starting at 1 o'clock, so let's get started. As always, appreciate you guys to the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get started. So, looking at the games today, looking at over on Fantasy Labs, we have a couple of teams with some high totals. We have the Yankees with a 5.4 total. We have the Red Sox with a 5.4 total. We have the Royals with the 5.5 total, the highest on the slate. So out of those three teams, I like the Red Sox the most, then the Royals, then the Yankees. If I had to rank the top three stacks in terms of just totals, for some lower owned stacks, I think you potentially could look to, at least on DraftKings, you could look to some of these Baltimore Orioles just because they are just not getting priced up at all. You still have Mancini at min price 2K, Mullins at 2K. So the top two batters in the lineup are going to cost you $4,000 going up against Garrett Richards, who can get blown up at times. So they're like a very cheap stack if you wanted to. You can round it out with like a Mountcastle Hayes, a couple of those guys here. You could also look to the Indians as a low end stack just because they have some good righty power. Like Jose Ramirez hits lefties really well. Jordan Luplow is mainly just known to be a lefty masher. And then Fremel Reyes, those three could be a nice stack. I don't know if that many people go to this game, the Reds against the Cardinals, but you have two pitchers that Martinez was good a couple years ago. He's been bad the last few. Jeff Hoffman, back when he was with the Rockies, kind of wasn't a strikeout pitcher. And he was pitching in cores, but he wasn't getting a lot of strikeouts. So you could look to some Cardinals. They do have a lot of power with Arenado, Goldschmidt, DeYoung, even like O'Neill. So looking at the DraftKings pricing at pitcher, you can go all the way up to Ian Anderson if you wanted to spend up for a pitcher. He was really dominant in spring. He had 18 strikeouts in just 8 innings, so unbelievable strikeout stuff. You don't think that will? I mean, that's not going to carry into the regular season, just because he was facing some backups in spring. But he's a really good pitcher. He should be in your consideration as your SP1. I like him more than Savali against the Tigers. I think you could look to like Michael Pineda as a different option if you wanted to save a little bit of money. He's also gets a really good matchup against the Brewers. Their lineup has a lot of Ks in it. At least a projected lineup right now with Keston Hura, Garcia. You have the bottom of the order. Also gets to face a pitcher. So Shaw strikes out a lot. I think Pineda has chances today at 9,200 against the Brewers. And then the second pitcher I like is going with like a Domingo Germán at 8,400. Zach Eflin is 82. There was a chance that he could back on the 20th, they said he could be like 10 or 15 pitches behind what he normally will be, so he might only get 4 or 5 innings here. If that's the case, and you're only going to get 5 innings max, then I probably will look to like going up to Domingo Germán, who's only $200 more than him. He probably will get you like 80 to 90 pitches today. He's a guy that was suspended last year, but he was very good in spring training for the team. He had like 13 strikeouts in 9 innings, gave up no runs. So against this Blue Jays team, which they are a very good young team, they brought in a couple veterans with Marcus Semien to bat, top of their lineup. All in all, there's a very good, powerful team. There are a lot of strikeouts here. Teoscar strikes out a lot. Tellez, Grichuk, even Vladimir Guerrero strikes out a decent amount. So there are a lot of strikeouts. Germán, we know he has a ton of upside. And if you wanted to look at, like, you're seeing quite a good amount of righties here. We can look to see how Germán is against righties and his strikeout stuff against right-handed batters. So pull up his splits. It's based on 2019 because he didn't play last year, but he was very good against righties. 210 average, just a 387 slugging. He had a 25% K rate to righties. Career-wise, 219 average given up with a 29% K rate to righties. So he should get the projected lineup has 6 righties in the lineup. So, actually 7. Yeah, 7 righties projected in the lineup. I like the spot for Germán, given his great strikeout stuff against right-handed batters. So, Pineda, Germán are the two that I really like. I think you could make an argument to go with like Ian Anderson over Pineda if you wanted to pay up. But in the value range, I don't really want to go to anybody. I don't think you need to. There's a plenty of value, so I'm not really touching anybody below $8,000. Just because I think you don't really need to go that cheap today. Looking at some hitters that I like, it's going to start with like first base. You can go once again all the way cheap for a min price Trey Mancini at just $2,000 if you wanted to save money. They're not going to be like a stack that I get to, but one-off Trey Mancini at 2K, first base. He has power. He can hit for average. He should not be that price. I don't know why they don't price him up. Other guy is Carlos Santana. He's 3,600. He's been playing great against Jordan Lyles. Lyles might pitch a little bit, and then there's a chance that they bring in like William Benjamin, the lefty. Oh, do some long relief, and if that's the case, then good spot for Santana. Being a switch hitter doesn't really matter, but he's good against both sides of the plate. And then you can look to potentially some Boston sides. You have like Dahlback 3,700. On the Indian side, we don't really have anybody that looks that appealing if you wanted to stack them on the Yankees. You could look to like Jay Bruce at 2,700. Over at second base is Whit Merrifield's having a great season. 5,200 to start first couple of games. I think he has hit a bomb yesterday. He might have hit a bomb in opening day as well. He's been playing great. Good spot. Wind blowing out at home. He's a guy if you wanted to pay up for. I like him a little bit more than LeMahieu. I like him a lot more than Albies, Luis Arraez, Edman. So Merrifield's at the top of my pay up list. Looking at cheaper plays here, you can go down in the 3K range to look to the Boston Red Sox potential leadoff hitter tonight is Kike Hernandez. Hernandez, $3,200 against a lefty. He always plays good against lefties. When he was with the Dodgers, he was playing a lot against lefties and almost exclusively against lefties. He just hits the ball really hard against them. He hits for power. He hits for a high ISO. So looking at his splits, can look to last year. Last year he batted 330. It's only look at his career numbers. I got the career numbers pulled up. It's 263 average for him against lefties with 37 bombs. He has a very nice ISO to go with that. A 211 career ISO, 18% K rate, 120 WRC plus, and he has in terms of hard hit rate, he has a 37% hard hit rate. So I do like Hernandez, especially if we got the lead off today at second base. You can also play him in the outfield spot. Third base, you have Jose Ramirez has a great pay-up option. You also have like Arenado, who's cheaper. You can maybe look to like a Chris Bryant, but it's going to be Ramirez as my pay-up in the value range. I like both Moustakas and Suarez. I might lean to Moustakas lefty-righty matchup for him. Suarez is a lot better against lefties. And that's probably the cheapest I'd go at third base. But I'm going to go ahead and put in Jose Ramirez today. Love the spot for him against the lefty. Look at his splits against left-handed pitching. He hits lefties extremely well. So far, both of his hits this year have come against lefties. It's only been like 6 at-bats, but he's 2 for 6 so far this season against lefties with 2 singles. Last year, he batted .386 against lefties with 8 home runs and just 57 at-bats. So that was one of the best numbers in the league against lefties last year, 544 ISO. And then career-wise, he's batting like 20 points higher in terms of average. The ISO is similar to both sides of the plate. It's been a little bit lower, but the last couple of years he's been a lot better against lefties. Strikeouts are down, and the hard contact fly balls are both pretty similar. Like Jose Ramirez, he can also steal bases. You don't expect a guy like him to steal bases, but the dude can run when he's out there, and he's super aggressive on the base paths. The outfield, we're going to go with another lefty hitter, and that's going to be Hunter Renfroe. He is only $3,500. You can make an argument to get up to JD Martinez here as well, but Renfroe gives you a lot of power against lefties as well. He was very good for the Rays last year, and then back when he was with the Padres. So we can pull up his numbers against lefties. So go back to 2020. He batted only 146 against lefties, but he had 5 home runs and just 41 at-bats, so that was good for a 366 ISO. With Hunter Renfroe, you're just kind of looking for like a home run out of him. You know, he's not a guy that you would expect him to just go 1 for 4 with a single. Usually he's going to hit a home run double if he has a decent game. But career numbers against lefties, his average is 40 points higher. His ISO is almost 100 points higher. Strikeouts 10% less. And the hard hit percentage is north of 43%, 50+% fly ball rate. So Renfroe, very good candidate today to potentially hit one out of the ballpark. And last but not least, it's going to be Jorge Soler, who I go ahead and plug in, just because he's still very cheap, $3,100 against a righty. Potentially gets to face a lefty and Benjamin if he's going to be the long reliever. He just has too much power to be this cheap. I love playing him, uh, especially in this ballpark. He's done pretty well in with the wind blowing out. They have the highest total on the slate, and he's projected to bat like fifth in the lineup, right behind a couple of guys that potentially could be on base with Santana, Perez. So love the chances for Jorge Soler to hit value at 3,100. And that's mainly it for the DraftKings side. I'm really looking at the Royals, Red Sox today. Potentially some like Cleveland Indians with Ramirez and Jordan Luplow as potential one-offs. And then you can look to some cheap plays like a Mancini if you wanted to go cheap, Mullins if you wanted to go with another min-price guy, and then some Yankees bats. So that's it for DraftKings. Let's look at FanDuel. On FanDuel here for the baseball slate, the pitchers are pretty differently priced. You still have Ian Anderson at the top, but you have Zach Davies as your third most expensive pitcher, ahead of guys like Zach Eflin, Domingo Germán, Michael Pineda. So I don't really agree with that pricing. I like Pineda as a value play of 7,300. I like Germán 77, and then you can go all the way up for a Ian Anderson. I will go with Germán again. I just like what I saw with his strikeouts against right-handed hitters. You should get like 6, 7 righties in the lineup for the Blue Jays today, so good spot for Germán to potentially get some Ks. And then it's a lot of the same stacks that I liked on DraftKings. It's going to be the Royals, Red Sox as my two main stacks with some Cleveland Indians in the mix. So looking at the catcher first base option here, it's going to be like Perez. If he bats cleanup, he's appealing. Santana at 3,300. Gary Sanchez having a good start to the season. If he's in the lineup again today, he looks very good at 3,300 if you wanted to stack some of the Yankees bats. And then if you wanted to go with the cheaper catcher slash first base option, you can look all the way down to potentially see where like you can always look to like Severino has some power at only 2,300. He will probably get no ownership, but Christian Vasquez good against lefties. But I think you can mainly stick to the 3K and higher range and go with like Santana, Perez, Gary Sanchez. Second base, it's like LeMahieu's all the way up to 3,700. He's not that expensive, but he's really talented. There's not a lot of great spend up, so he's going to be the top second base option, especially with Merrifield just being outfield eligible on FanDuel. But you have a lot of guys projected about leadoff right at 2,800. You have Hernandez, Edman, Semien. I like Kike the most, then probably Edman, then Semien if I had to rank them. Just love the spot for Kike batting leadoff against the lefty. With how good his numbers are against lefties, and I expect the Red Sox bats to wake up at some point in the series, and this is the last game to do it, so hopefully they can have a good game today. At third base, it's a lot of studs at the top to pay up for. We have Ramirez, Arenado, Bryant, even Devers. Devers probably the least appealing just because it's lefty-lefty. I like Ramirez a lot. I'm expecting him to go off today against the lefty. Just really good against left-handed pitchers. He's a guy that gets on base. He can steal a bag or two. He hits for power. And he's had a really good spring. So far, it's been a little bit slow in the regular season, but he doesn't really worry me at all. I'm expecting great things out of him this season. If you wanted to go cheaper, you can look to a Mike Moustakas. Gives you a lot of power at $3,000, and that's the top, mainly it. You can go to like Urshela if you wanted to go with the Yankee stack. It's only 2,400. And then in the outfield, like Hunter Renfroe is going to be a guy that I like to get to. He's only $2,800. I love Kike, I love Renfroe, and then I love JD Martinez on the Boston side. And then Gallo's having a great season against Brady Singer. He's a young pitcher, gets strikeouts, also can give up some power. So Gallo lefty righty spot for him. He's going to be interesting. Whit Merrifield's up to 4K after his great start to the season. I think I'd like Soler is only 3,400. I'd like to go probably him over Merrifield, at least on FanDuel, just save some money. Even on DraftKings, he's like a lot cheaper. And Martinez is also like 3,600, I think. 3,600 for Diddy. He's had a good start to the season for him, especially facing off against the lefties when one of baseball's best lefty mashers to start. But I will go ahead and plug in Jorge Soler again. Just love the Royals today again. They've been great the first couple games. I've been playing a good amount of them. And Soler gives you just what you want out of a guy. 3,400 is nicely priced, gives you a ton of power, gives you ability to hit multiple home runs. That is basically it for the breakdown. Thank you guys for watching. Best of luck tonight, and see y'all later.